Welcome back, folks. It's Sport Federation TV. Now, you will know, of course, just before the break, we took you to the District Sports Awards in Cape Town. It is, of course, an event that happens annually. Of course, in this case, the awards didn't happen last year for obvious reasons. So the nominees now standing here from September 2019, in fact. And to get to these awards, the various federations, of course, nominate their athletes to go into these awards, and then it's adjudicated. And, of course, after that, the nominees and winners are announced at the district awards. We take you back now to the second half of the Cape Town Sports Awards.
It was exceptionally difficult. I think the sportsmen and women can probably testify more to that than what I can. For us, the challenge was to fill our publications week in and week out with sporting activity as if things were normal, and obviously everything came to a halt when the first lockdown, hard lockdown kicked in last year. So then we had to find new ways of getting to what we needed to do. And if there's one good thing that I can say of the whole COVID situation, I think is that it brought the sporting community even closer. And it's because of that closeness that I was able to reach out to many of the sporting men and women, some of whom were honored here tonight, and keeping tabs on them and getting in touch with them. Even if it meant doing things online as opposed to hanging out at the field and at the sports arenas, we found new ways of interacting and engaging and keeping up with what our sportsmen and women are going through, all of their personal challenges and that sort of thing. Over and above the whole COVID situation, they had to keep on doing what they do, and it was an absolute adventure throughout the past 2 years. I can't put it any other way. It was an adventure keeping up with these guys, watching them trying to keep up with the situation, or at least stay ahead of the situation. And most of them, I must say, they came out on top. I must say it felt a little bit weird. I was at another awards event just a week ago, and it was all virtual, like everything else was over the past few months. And so coming into an actual events environment, the awards evening, it felt strange, I must admit. It felt strange, different. When last did we have an actual event? So I'm thankful that we were able to. I must commend the organizers. I must commend the Sports Council, the Cape Town Sports Council on a job well done. Must again commend the athletes and the sportsmen and women that were honored here tonight. So yeah, it was wonderful being with people, as opposed to just seeing them, on a Zoom call or online somewhere. I remember when just prior to the announcement of the very first lockdown in March, I think it was last year, just a week or so before that, I told my editor that we were going to be okay. Okay meaning okay for the next 2 or 3 weeks for that initial, I think it was a 21-day period, that very first lockdown. I said we're going to be okay. Obviously, we were never really okay after that. Things were never okay after that. And early on, with this whole pandemic situation, I kind of made a promise to myself and to my readers, our readers, that we'll stay with them as much as we can. With everything that we've had to deal with, I felt it was important that we stay with that. So we could easily have said, listen, from here on forth, there's no sport happening, so we might as well not be covering sport. I can go do something else, type of thing, for a while at least. But I thought to myself, no, now more than ever, it's probably the time to step up to that particular challenge. And the challenge was, as I promised my readers, that we will definitely stay with them. So yeah, and that was the promise that I made to myself and my readers, that regardless of what the situation is, that we were not going to stop what we're doing. We were not going to stop. I was determined not to stop. Despite everything else coming to a grinding halt, I was not going to stop. And so I'm thankful and very glad that I'm still here able to say this to you. that throughout the lockdown, the hardest part of the lockdown, I never stopped chasing up people, even if it meant chasing them up online. I was like a troll after everyone. But we kept up with people because I wanted to live up to my commitment to the editor, to myself, that we were going to be okay despite everything. And I think to some extent, I must thank the sports people that I dealt with, but to some extent that's what carried me. And I think getting this award tonight kind of, I'm really grateful for it and humbled by it, so it's wonderful.
Yes, it's been a long time coming. It was more for the athletes and for the nominees tonight, not so much the administrators, but it was to showcase their accomplishments and their celebration and celebrate with them. It has been a tough year for, I think, not just the Sports Council, but for every sport code out there. And I earlier on said tonight, the one thing COVID didn't take into consideration was the stubbornness and resilience of sports persons in the Western Cape. We don't easily lie down. We don't easily allow ourselves to be walked all over on. And tonight was testament to that, that despite all of this, despite all the tragedy that we faced, at the end of the day, tonight was a great success for the athletes and the coaches and the administrators of the different sporting codes who received nominations and the winners themselves. So yeah, it's been a long, hard, difficult road, but at the end of the day, all you can do is just push through and hope to get to the other side in one piece. It was nice to see some of the old faces. It was exceptionally wonderful meeting some of the new ones. And in these uncertain times, when you speak to somebody in person, you always try to end it on a good note, because with COVID, you never know whether or not that's the last time you're going to see that person. So yes, it was a result of a lot of hard work from the federations that made tonight a possibility for us. I mean, all we did was host the awards. They put in the work at the end of the day. You see, sports serves multiple purposes. It builds communities, it helps communities, it helps youngsters stay out of trouble. When one enters a sport code, you don't just become a table tennis player or a dart player or a rugby player. You get life coaches, you get veterans who impart knowledge. So it's another schooling altogether on a more practical level. And during COVID, many of these youngsters became hungry. They became hungry for more sport, they were eager. So at the first opportunity to return to sport, they grabbed it with years of, a good few years of pent-up aggression, wanting to play and wanting to get back into their sport code. So that's what it was about tonight. It was that youngsters coming through. A lot of them grew up in this environment. If you take a look at Tatiana Thomas, Tomatis, I think it is, she was, unbelievable, the amount of gold and silvers she won internationally during COVID. They've adapted, the youngsters have adapted to the new normal more than we have, the new COVID-19 normal than we have. So yes, it was great to be here tonight to watch and to appreciate what these federations, athletes and nominees have accomplished during these last 2 years.
So those athletes will of course go through to the Western Cape Awards, the provincial awards, and that'll happen next year as the winners from each category go to the provincial awards for adjudication. In other words, across the 6 different districts. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, it's time for us to catch up with aquatics. Back in a sec.